Alright, so I've been running a 3D print farm for a while now, and when I saw the 85M and 85X, I knew exactly how I wanted to test them. These machines are clearly designed for high volume, low budget 3D print farming, and that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to put them to the test in my mini print farm printing batches, doing high volume runs and testing multicolor printing. So that is exactly what I did. And after multiple weeks of printing inventory runs for my online shop, I have some things to share. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking it out into two parts. First, I'm going to be talking about the 85X and the 85M, and then I'm going to share a little bit of insight as to my online shop and how I operate. I'm going to give you the details on the printers that I standardly run, the materials I'm currently printing, how I came to those print material decisions, as well as if I think these particular machines could be beneficial in my print farm setup. So first, let's talk about print quality, because I'm sure that's top on everyone's list. And well, to put it quite plainly, the 85X and the 85M basically have identical print quality output. The only real difference is, of course, the obvious difference, and that's that the 85X comes equipped with the IFS. I believe the IFS is the integrated filament system, though that's kind of hard for me to confirm because all of the web browsing that I've done doesn't really have that acronym expanded. But honestly, I really do love the IFS. It is a very smart design choice that allows you to load multiple filaments into the machine without having a huge AMS box sitting right on top. I could go into numerous reasons as to why I really hate the AMS design having it on top of the printer, but I think you all know the reason why. The short answer is that the AMS just gets in the way in a bunch of ways. The IFS being on the side of the machine allows you to have full access to the top. This way you can perform repairs as well as visually see down into the printer. But what about in terms of actual physical print quality that comes off of these machines? In my opinion, the quality is very good, but it is not perfect. These printers are going to come with the standard calibration suite that most modern printers have. You'll get resonance compensation, nozzle bed probing, and PID tuning. These calibration processes are nice, and they genuinely do make the printing process easier. Less time spending calibrating is more time you can spend printing. But with all of that said, there is one or maybe two calibration features that are missing, and I believe they are very important. The 85X and the 85M do not have anything to do with extruder calibration or flow calibration. I'll be honest, I don't really know if these can be combined into one. I think the processes are a little bit different, but nonetheless, neither of them exist. And while the print quality is really good, if you do compare it to the K2 Plus or an X1 Carbon, there's definitely something left to be desired. Does that have anything to do with the fact that extruder calibration and flow calibration don't exist? I don't know, maybe, but just something to be aware of. But we do need to take this into consideration and remember that the K2 Plus and the X1 Carbon are $1,500 3D printers, whereas the printers behind me come in between $300 and $450. There is well over $1,000 price difference between these machines. So can we really expect the 85 series to live up to a printer $1,000 more expensive? And honestly, I did have some prints that were shockingly good. The biggest surprise to me is that this 32-hour Fox from Flexi Factory is absolutely gorgeous. And something shocking to me as well is that this Fox, all of the gray is silk filament. This thing turned out insane, like nearly perfect. The print had some loose blobs on the surface when it came off the print bed, but these blobs weren't even attached. I simply went in with some tweezers and was easily able to remove them. The blobs that were attached were some kind of filament wipe that came off in the purge block, and as the nozzle moved from the purge block over to the print itself, it just carried these blobs with it. And again, that isn't something that happens on the K2 Plus or the X1 Carbon, but who cares? 2 minutes of cleanup and the Fox was perfect. But here's the crazy part, because I've mentioned this multiple times in past videos, but I have never had a silk filament multicolor part finish on any other printer I've owned. And yes, that includes on the K2 Plus with the CFS, as well as the X1 Carbon with the AMS. And I have tried numerous times to print a multicolored model with silk filament. However, every time it feeding through that big box AMS somehow causes issues. I'm not sure if it is the added friction trying to flow through those Bowden tubes into the AMS, but somehow the nozzle extruder area always gets clogged. How is that attributed to an AMS on the top of the unit? I have no idea, but it is something that I've noticed. And this version of the print that I pulled off of the 85X is so flawless, if I was to sell this at my local farmer's market or on my Etsy store, no one would know what printer it came off of. And now that I'm talking about the Etsy shop a little bit, let me tell you about something a little bit crucial in how I run my shop. So I want to tell you a little bit about how I used to ship products and how I am shipping products now. Because trust me, I have made a huge change and I really genuinely believe that it is worth it to share with you guys. So the nitty-gritty of it is that my cost per unit sold is an interesting calculation that probably not many people think of. And in order to stay competitive on the market, I offer my customers free shipping. Well, that eats into my profit. And part of my cost per unit sold is, well, my shipping costs. So I used to use labels that get printed on full 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. Each piece of paper contains 2 labels. Half the page is a sticker, and you essentially just rip the sticker off and put it on the package. The problem with these huge sticker paper pieces is that, well, they're huge, they're expensive, and they are actually kind of annoying because they print on a standard printer. So the cost of these labels per package is, believe it or not, about 25 cents. And that is if I only have to use 1 label per package. So recently, I acquired a thermal laser printer. These machines are really tiny, they print really quickly, and the labels that you use to print on them are incredibly cheap. So now my cost per unit sold for shipping is literally 1.7 pennies. And yes, you heard that right, 1.7 pennies. I did the math and it is roughly 15 times cheaper to use this new printer versus the old method. And honestly, that doesn't even count how much more convenient it is for me to use these new labels. The labels come on a roll of 500 versus a pack and a stack of 200. The label roll almost never runs out. It seemed like I was changing out and adding new labels to the printer at least once a month, and now this roll essentially is gonna last me an entire year. So guys, if you are a small print farm person or you're planning to get into print farming and selling online, this is definitely something that I do highly recommend you look into. The upfront cost is definitely a little more expensive. However, this is something that saves money in the long run, and the convenience factor is absolutely through the roof. And yes, I want to be very transparent. These guys did send this thermal laser printer to me for showing you in this video. However, they haven't paid me anything to say what I've said. So I just told you guys that I made the jump to a thermal laser printer because it is more convenient for me. So wouldn't you think that convenience is important? The answer is yes, it is very important to me, especially in a print farming setup. So is the 85 series easy and convenient to use, or is it a slug and it's very difficult? Interestingly, that is a little bit of a loaded question, because while the 85X is the bigger brother to the 85M, that answer is different for each printer. That's because the 85M is remarkably easy to operate. The tool head cover comes right off. The nozzle has a little click system to pull right out very quickly and conveniently. Actually, pulling and exchanging the nozzle on the 85M might be faster than any printer that I own in the studio. Essentially, what I'm saying is with the 85M, maintenance is very easy and very straightforward. So the 85X, well, not so much. The IFS is definitely amazing, and it is the saving grace of this machine because without the IFS, it would be very difficult for me to recommend the machine. Simply put, the tool head repair on the 85X is a big nightmare. From an engineering design standpoint, the tool head on the 85X is absolutely gorgeous, and it is fairly impressive what they've done. But from the standpoint of someone that's operating a print farm, if your tool head malfunctions, you have to undo every single nut and bolt in order to change anything. Basically, what I'm saying is from a repair standpoint, the 85X gets 2 thumbs down. The reason I say this is because during my printing, I had a singular extruder jam. That's really good, right? During my testing of the K2 Plus, my extruder jammed probably 30 or 40 times, and that's not a joke. That being said, the one singular time that the extruder on the 85X jammed, it took me an hour and a half to resolve the issue. For instance, on the K2 Plus, when my extruder jammed, it took about 5 minutes to solve the problem. Basically, what I'm saying is if you have a 3D print farm with 30 or 40 85Xs in it, and you have extruder jams, it's gonna take you an hour and a half to resolve every single one of them. In a print farm setup, time is definitely money. And with that, downtime is killing your profits. Now with that said, as a private owner, I don't actually believe the extruder issue is going to be something you should consider. And I say that because typically private owners have more time and can resolve issues even if they take longer. Obviously, it's still annoying and frustrating to resolve extruder jams, but as a private owner, you simply have more time. Additionally, Flashforge really does have a lot of fantastic documentation on their Wikipedia page and their YouTube channel, so even if something is slightly more complex in order to resolve, they probably have a video for it available. But I definitely do want to hit this home, and that is in a low budget print farm setup, I still definitely recommend the 85X simply because the IFS system is that good. The IFS picks up enough slack that even though it is difficult to repair the extruder, I still think there is a chance that the 85X in a print farm setup is a good option. So let's take a step back, and I want to tell you a little bit about my current print farm setup and the printers that I currently operate. Currently, I'm running 3 K1Cs and 1 K2 Plus. My setup is small, but also my volume and my output is small. My printers don't run 24/7. Instead, I print an inventory batch that lasts anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 weeks. Once my inventory is fully printed, I shut the printers off, and I don't come back and turn the printers on until my batch runs low. Rinse and repeat. Currently, I sell 10 custom design parts, and something that I've learned is expanding my product selection is far and away more profitable than just cranking out more volume on the few products that I already sell. Basically, what I'm saying is in order for me to hit my goal sales number per month, it's easier for me to sell 1 unit of 10 different products than 10 units of a single product. So what about the materials that I print my parts in? Well, when I first started print farming, I was primarily printing in PLA, and boy, did I find that to be a very big mistake. So my parts are functional prints, and well, PLA just doesn't hold up. I was getting too many negative reviews because people were using my parts as upgrade parts, but they were failing earlier than the OEM parts were. So I then chose to swap my parts from PLA to PETG, something that didn't necessarily require an enclosed chamber. Unfortunately though, I was still seeing some part failures over time. So now I recently swapped from PETG over to ASA for certain parts. So we'll see how my part durability holds up, but at the moment I'm feeling optimistic. The one downside to ASA is that it typically costs more money per spool, and also because it needs to print at a higher temperature, well, the electricity bill goes up as well. And those are just 2 more numbers that tick up on that cost per unit sold that I was previously talking about. So why do I even care if a part actually breaks after I've already sold that unit? Well, for one, I have a moral compass and I feel obligated to replace a part if someone purchases it from me and it breaks. And of course, replacing a part requires additional shipping costs, and I have to then give someone a replacement unit, which is for free. At that point, every failure essentially puts me in the red. Because if I don't replace these parts for free, then I'm going to get negative reviews on my profile, and as a small-time business, even one singular negative review can totally tank my sales numbers. And so that's why the printer that you're using kind of matters. For instance, the 85M and the 85X are not enclosed printers, so if you tried to print ABS, it simply wouldn't work. And that is, once again, another thing that you should consider if you're trying to start your own print farm business. Do you need an enclosed printer, or is an open air printer fine? What if you're only printing shelf pieces? Well, you can print PLA or PETG, and an open air printer like the 85X or the 85M might be the machine for you. These machines can easily print PLA, PETG, or even TPU, and yes, the 85X, it can print TPU directly through the IFS. That is, again, something that the AMS and the CFS cannot do. And that is a very convenient segue, because I did actually print TPU 95A through this IFS right here, and the very first time, the very first try, it was very highly successful. I took my parts, I sliced them with the predefined profile in Orca Flashforge, and yes, there is a predefined profile. Thank you very much, Flashforge. And it just worked. Having predefined profiles for different materials is something that some manufacturers still aren't doing with their machines, so I really have to give it to Flashforge for this one, because especially a TPU profile, I mean, a lot of people aren't using TPU, so the fact that they went and did the dirty work is very, very appealing to me. And once again, being able to print TPU through a multi-material system is a level of complexity that we've not yet been able to accomplish in a different AMS system. And now let's talk a little bit more about the IFS on the 85X, because I definitely have a little bit of a gripe, and hopefully it's not too bad. Essentially, the interface that Flashforge has developed directly into the user interface is painful. Very, very painful. So when you go to the print menu and you click to print, it shows you a small image of the model you're about to print. And yes, it is color coded. However, when you go to map the colors from the IFS from 1, 2, 3, and 4, you then have to click the next button. When you go to the next page, that's where you can actually map the colors. And at that point, you have no idea what colors you're actually mapping to which part of the model you're mapping it to. It gets even worse, because if you have 2 of the same colors sliced through Orca Flashforge, then you go onto the printer, you have no idea which color you're actually mapping to the model color, if that makes any sense. Blah, 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 something, 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 confusing, yada, yada, yada. The thing that's important for me to tell you is that if you are slicing directly from Orca Flashforge and sending those sliced files directly to the 85X over the internet, none of that is important, because it bypasses the IFS slot selection. And for me, that's all that I ever do, because I don't typically print the same file over and over again directly from the machine. That being said, I do recognize that these machines are specifically designed to be a print farm setup machine, so there is a chance that you might want to do that. Given that exact situation, just be prepared that if you're trying to map the colors from different selection points on the IFS, it could be a little bit confusing. Also, this is IFS related, and it is something that maybe you want to know about, and it's purging. How much material is purged and how much material is wasted. And to be honest, I believe it is on the high side of acceptable, maybe even just beyond acceptable. And I don't mean the good side beyond of acceptable. I mean the bad side of acceptable. The good news here is that purge volumes are adjustable. They're adjustable directly in the slicer, and a lot of people don't actually know this. Something maybe you hadn't considered is the amount of purge is different depending on the color that is currently loaded in the nozzle and the color you're trying to load into the nozzle. For instance, if you currently have white loaded and you're about to put black in, maybe you need to purge less material because the color you are loading in is a little bit darker. On the other side of the coin, if you have black in the nozzle and you're trying to load white, white is a lighter color than black, so you need to purge more material. With all of that said, in my experience, it seems like the 85X is purging an excessive amount of material, probably, well, in excess of what it needs to. There are some good tutorials on YouTube on how to actually calibrate these purge volumes. You really should be calibrating depending on the color of the material as well as the material type. But if you are interested in me producing a tutorial for you guys, let me know in the comment section down below. So, from a print farm perspective, I absolutely love how the 85X and the 85M handle networking. And this is just something a little small, but any manufacturer could include it, and they just haven't. Essentially, you can assign every printer a name, and you can also assign every printer a location. For instance, you can have a printer A in room 1 as well as printer A in room 2. Another example would be printer 1 on printer rack 1 or printer 1 on printer rack 2. This sounds small, but when you scale a print farm, this is actually kind of a lifesaver. I know I told you guys that I am only regularly running 4 machines in my print farm. However, I oftentimes have 15 or 20 plus 30 printers in the studio, and having every printer named something different with the room in which they're in is particularly helpful. I try to name my printers something fairly unique, this way I know which printer it is and which room it's in. However, sometimes it does get a little confusing. The thing is, I just try to imagine this problem on a big scale, meaning, for instance, you have 50 85Xs inside one singular room and you have a massive print farm. How on earth do I know which printer has completed when I get a notification on my phone that says printer completed? Another thing that I want to mention is the workflow and how I work with my print farm setup. Of course, my farm is primarily K-series printers, so I am running Clipper. However, how do I monitor when a print is done? I am using the webcams inside these machines as well as phone notifications to know when a printer is done, as well as check the status of them. Overall though, because my small print farm is just upstairs in the studio, I kind of hear and know when a printer is done, so I can just walk upstairs and check up on it. So here are my final thoughts on the 85X, the 85M, and what I think they are useful for in a print farm setup. For one, if you're on a budget, these are absolutely, definitely solid picks. I think Flashforge knows that, that's why they are advertised as print farm machines. The 85M is significantly easier to maintain, but it does lack multicolor, so if you just want to print in one singular color, the 85M is absolutely the route to go. On the other side of the coin, the 85X is absolutely incredible due to the IFS. I really, really love the IFS, and I think it could be a huge proponent in propelling the digital market for multicolor. The 85X is cheap, and you can definitely produce some high quality multicolor prints. So what is my recommendation? Well, first, if you have the budget and it's expanded, I definitely recommend just getting a K2 Plus or an X1 Carbon. However, once again, those machines are over $1,000 more expensive. So yes, I do highly recommend these machines for an entry-level print farmer. I really love the 85 series, and I definitely wouldn't blink twice about recommending them to you guys. So what if I had to start over with my print farm? For my workflow, I would absolutely try these machines out, specifically because they're so cheap. For me to build up the print farm with these machines would cost me about $1,500 to $1,600. For For me to build the same print farm with K2 Pluses would be $4,000. If my business is successful with these machines and I go to expand, maybe I would expand to some more premium products like the K2 Plus or the X1 Carbon. And if you made it this far in the video, go to the comment section down below and type Silk Wolf. Otherwise, guys, I will see you in the next video.